What was that?
Hi, sisters!
Alright guys, listen up. Unfortunately, there is no Jill sandwich today. Hello everyone and welcome back to GameTalk, where we talk about games, new and old. And honestly, I didn't think I was gonna make a Resident Evil 2 video after the first Resi game. Mainly because Barry isn't in it.
Sandwich.
Resident Evil 2, negative 32 out of 10. The remake of Resi 2 has hit the world by storm recently, and before we go over that game, which was inevitably gonna happen, why not go over the original game? You could also call it the original G.
He's the son of the original G.
To capitalize off the success of Resident Evil in 1996, what else could you expect? Resident Evil 2 was inevitably going to happen, and for the time, could they top the game that was once recognized as the scariest game ever made? With tense moments, scary monsters, and one of the most popular settings in any video game ever made, being the mansion. I mean, surely, right? There weren't many contenders back then for horror games. Silent Hill wasn't made yet, and the original Resident Evil completely smashed its competitor Alone in the Dark. And Clock Tower didn't even have a similar impact to Capcom's Powerhouse. So Resident Evil 2, in theory, should be scarier and overall better than the original. While this game for the time was a success, it never impacted the horror genre or gaming like the original did 2 years before. But we can't judge it just like that. Let's get into this game and see what it does better than the original. Resident Evil 2 actually contains 2 discs, each containing the 2 different characters you can play as. Just like in Resident Evil 1 where you could choose to play as either Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine, always pick Jill because Chris is wank, you can choose to either play as Leon S. Kennedy, a rookie cop working for the Raccoon Police Department going in for his first day on the job, or Claire Redfield, the younger sister of Chris looking for her brother in Raccoon City. But instead of choosing the characters at the beginning, you have to insert the correct discs for the character you want to play as. I much prefer playing as Leon for this game, however, and that scenario is what I'm going to be focusing on for this video. But I like to call Leon a not so Shaggy. Seriously, don't tell me I'm the only one who thinks the PS1 model of Leon looks like Shaggy. I'll tell you why, he's only using 10% of his power here though. I'm not fucking fun. The main menu looks fairly good and looks like a more menacing version of the original. I think this menu captures the theme of the game great, and for PS1 days, this menu looked pretty spectacular. There are only 2 difficulty options, normal or easy. Starting up the game will show you a cutscene briefly explaining the events of the game.
A bizarre incident occurred in the outskirts of an American suburb called Raccoon City.
The game doesn't really follow the story of the characters in the first game. Resi 2's event happens roughly 2 months after the first, and an outbreak of the T-virus has plagued the entirety of Raccoon City. Officer Leon S. Kennedy is going in for his first day at the Raccoon Police Department. Upon seeing a corpse in the middle of the road, Leon decides to investigate and gets jumped by zombies. I just want to say, the first game's intro was terrible. Absolutely appalling, in fact. That was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
No! Don't go!
This one, however, while the voice acting is still awful and Leon's lips don't even move when he's talking.
Man, what a mess. What could have done this?
Everything happens so quickly I could barely understand what's going on.
Wait! Don't shoot!
Get down!
What the fuck is going on? So Leon runs into Claire and manages to escape a cluster of zombies in a police cruiser. After having a brief conversation, Leon and Claire get split up by a truck. The truck explodes, and from there, Leon yells out to Claire to head over to the police station, and that is your first objective. Of course, this is where the game starts, and if you play as Claire, you'll be in her current position. Movement once again for basically every 90s horror title uses the tank style of controls. Up and down on the D-pad moves you forward and backward, left and right turns you around. There is now a mechanic that does affect movement. The more damaged you are, the more your character will limp. This is a great feature for PS1, but when you're at a constant low health, it does get kind of annoying as it does affect the speed in which you run at. Plus, it just makes Leon look like he has to take a huge shit, just like Resi 1. When readying your weapon, pressing up and down will aim your weapon up and down. The gameplay formula in terms of inventory is the same as well. You can examine items to get either more information about the item or receiving a whole new item in general, or you can combine items either giving you keyed items or can provide you with different types of healing. Speaking of healing, the healing system hasn't changed. First aid sprays heal all wounds, green herbs heal regular wounds, blue herbs will heal poison, and red herbs can be combined with both of them to make your heals more potent. After Leon and Claire get separated, you walk through the zombie infested streets with vehicles blocking the roads. You then eventually get to the police station. The path to the police station is extremely linear and really isn't hard at all if you know how to utilize tank controls and avoid all the zombies in your way. And this is where the game truly begins, and where Act 1 starts. Just like the mansion in the first game, the main area in this game is the Raccoon police station. Upon entering the police station and searching for a few rooms, Leon meets an injured officer who explains to him to find everyone else and save them when giving him a keycard. I wanna say they improved the voice acting, but do you really think they did? No, me neither.
There was this incident involving zombies. You should be able to unlock the doors in the hall with this. Now go. But just go.
Just go. I don't have a gun. From here, Leon tries to search for any fellow officers in need that are trying to survive the outbreak. The formula is basically the same as the first game. Search rooms, find keys, solve puzzles, kill monsters, etc. The use of ink ribbons and saving makes a return to make sure that saving isn't abused, and now the weapons goes as follows. The pistol, which is a standard semi-auto weapon doing low damage, the shotgun, which has high damage at a close range and can hit multiple targets at once, and can also take the heads off of zombies if they get really close to you, a combat knife which does extremely low damage but is better than nothing, a machine gun which takes up 2 inventory slots and has a low stopping power but shoots at a fast fire rate, a magnum / desert eagle that does extremely high damage but ammo to find for it is quite limited, and a flamethrower which also takes up 2 inventory slots. Something new you can do is add attachments to your gun to make them more reliable into different things. In terms of monsters, you've got your zombies, the dogs, the spiders, standard Resi stuff. There are 2 new monsters though. There are these plant things, which are not in the slightest scary, and also you have one of the main attractions of Resident Evil 2, the Lickers. These are much stronger and tougher enemies that are fast and crawl in the ceiling, and their appearance is something that I still think has some scariness factors to this day. But once the cutscene actually turns into gameplay, holy shit, what's with PS1 games and Play-Doh? Apart from those monsters, nothing else is really that different from Resident Evil 1. Okay, when discussing horror games, we need to talk about the atmosphere. And I gotta say, compared to the original Resident Evil, it's disappointing. It's not overall bad, but it doesn't compete with the first game. Main reason being the police station. I never really hooked onto the police station like I did with the mansion in the first game. Come to think of it, I don't think anyone did. I think. The mansion in Resident 1 felt like the name Resident Evil, along with the ugly wallpaper and that music that makes you feel like you're invading on someone's private property and you're not welcome. Even the door animations, I actually can't believe I'm complaining about door animations, but the slow zoom in the original was more threatening, more seclusive, while this game just shows the door and opens it. The transitions are quicker, yes, but I much prefer the first game's door animations. Even the zombie character models. First of all, I think that it's great that in this game there are many zombie character models, but the ones from the first game, the white bald zombies with the green jackets, just felt like Resident Evil. This game, while I still like it, it doesn't give that uneasy feeling the first game did. I love the other areas in this game, such as the sewer and the lab, but the police station didn't satisfy my Resident Evil needs. It didn't feel like the name Resident Evil to me. Due to the outbreak and all these crazy monsters, definitely feels like the Japanese name Biohazard, but not Resident Evil. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. Maybe I'm a knob. Or maybe we're all knobs.
We're all lovely.
Nevertheless though, the atmosphere is still good and does its job well. It's just not as good as I hoped it would be. Plus the save room theme that you're listening to right now makes me moist. Puzzles this time round required more thinking than the original. Of course it doesn't stoop to Silent Hill's level of riddling and mindfucking, but it's still very good. While the pushing object puzzles are still there are more puzzles that force you to hash out the situation, such as finding a different path in the sewer to change platforms to walk across it, or using certain gears to start up the clock tower. It's not particularly amazing, but definitely an improvement, but it is nice to see these puzzles, and it is a great change of pace from the rest of the game, just instead of constantly finding items and killing monsters. After solving many puzzles, killing heaps of monsters, and limping, and why do you walk so slow? You meet Claire again in the STARS office, STARS being the teams from the first game.
It's good to see you're still among the living.
I didn't know that's what people said to each other.
What?
It's good to see that you're still among the living.
Stop interrupting my porn.
You then get access to the police station's basement, the underground tunnels, and then the parking lot. It's here where you will meet a woman called Ada Wong, who doesn't seem to tell you everything and seems like she's hiding something. There are actually some parts of the game where you play as Ada, one time in a certain area of the police station and another time in the sewer/factory place, after Leon gets injured. You come across a woman named Annette Birkin, whose husband was responsible for creating the T-virus. You eventually find out there is also a G-virus, which Annette claims that the power of that is greater than the T-virus. Annette's husband injected himself with the G-virus to avoid his death and to become the ultimate bioweapon. After more shitty dialogue, this happens.
Too bad.
Leon and Ada then has to get to the Umbrella lab to stop Annette from getting the sample of the G virus. You get on the cable car and Ada gets injured by an unseen entity. It's then you have a boss fight with the bioweapon created by the G virus, simply known as G. After fighting it, Ada is unconscious and gripping onto her life when Leon...
Come on! Wake up! Come on!
Come on, Leon, keep trying, she'll eventually wake up, give it another go!
Come on!
This is when you explore the lab and the final stretch of the game begins. After playing through the lab, it turns out that Ada was a spy and getting information onto Umbrella's work. And Leon doesn't believe this at first.
I know her. Ada wouldn't do something like that.
Bullshit, you know her, Leon, you met her an hour ago, for fuck's sake. It turns out Annette was right about Ada, and Ada wanted the G virus. But then Annette shoots her. So Jill's sandwich was the line of Resident Evil 1 and the line of Resident Evil 2 is Ada! So standard Resident Evil stuff happens and now the lab is going to self-destruct. You then have a boss fight with G and you have to complete it in a certain amount of time. After you do that, you head over to a train that leads away from the lab and Leon gets on it. Leon runs into Claire and a girl she encounters on her scenario. Claire hasn't found Chris and that leads to a classic, "This is just the beginning" quote from Leon.
No. I have to find my brother.
You're right. This is just the beginning.
I enjoyed this game. It wasn't as nostalgic for me as the first game as I barely played this one when I was younger. However, this game definitely improved on some stuff that needed improving. At the same time though, I don't think it was as good. While I enjoyed this game, it didn't creep me out at all. Maybe it did have some moments where it kinda scared me, but not really. For the time, I bet it was scary, but even Resident Evil 1 is still a bit creepy towards this day, and that's surprising for a game that came out in 1996. While this game is definitely more visually disgusting and masterful than the original, it doesn't have the open-endedness like the Spencer Mansion did in the original. And there's a certain charm that the original had that this game lacks. And for this game to be called one of the best sequels in gaming history seems a bit weird to me. Sure, the game improved what needed improving and improved it greatly, but that charm that the original had wasn't topped. I do want to like this game more, and I actually care about the characters more in this game than the original, well, except Barry, of course.
Just take a look at this.
Oh, Barry!
Yeah.
Nevertheless though, Resident Evil 2 makes the good list and gets a 6 out of 10. Without a shadow of a doubt, the first game is better, but this game did come close. As of Claire's scenario, I think I'll save that for the remake. But from PS1 all the way to PS4, how could they improve it? Stick around till next week to find out. Huge thanks for all the support and for watching this video till the end. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you haven't already with those notifications turned on. Consider sticking around till next week where I'll be covering the recent remake of Resi 2. Don't forget to follow my social media and I'll see you all before you know it. See you later.